Hi there. Welcome to Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe for day 7 of my 14 Days of Love series. I'm so excited about today's project. Now, yesterday, if you missed day 6, I hope you'll go back and watch on stampinpeace.com or on the YouTube channel, Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe. But yesterday, I used the Enduring Beauty bundle for yesterday's card. It includes a stamp set, a die set, and then a series of 5 decorative masks. And with those decorative masks and some small blending brushes and ink pads, I created this beautiful card. So if you missed that, you definitely want to go back and look. Now, today I'm using the stamp set, Enduring Beauty stamp set, and I'm going to use it in a completely different way than I did yesterday. So let's get started right away because I'm so excited. I can't wait any longer to share this with you. Okay, the first thing we're going to do in today's demonstration of the Enduring Beauty stamp set is do some heat embossing. So I've already cut a piece of Blackberry Bliss cardstock that measures, 3.5 inches by 4 3/4, 3.5 by 4 3/4. And I'm going to go over it with the embossing buddy that came as part of my heat embossing toolkit. So the purpose of the embossing buddy is to take off any static on your paper so that when you apply the embossing powder only sticks to where you have the ink. Okay. So now I'm ready to add some ink to my stamp. I'm using that large floral bouquet image from the Enduring Beauty stamp set. And I'm adding Versamark ink to it. This is most often the ink we use when heat embossing. It's very tacky, very sticky feeling. So I like to go over that several times to make sure I have it well inked. And then I'm going to just try to center this stamp on my cardstock. I'm going to press down with a flat hand to make sure I get all of the stamped image onto my cardstock. Now I'm going to lift this off. Earlier, before I started, I did add some adhesive to the back just to hold that in place while I stamped. So I'm adding silver embossing powder. Make sure you use plenty. And the tray here is great for collecting all that extra embossing powder. I like to flick it off as well. And if you have any stray, we shouldn't have much because I use my embossing buddy. If you have any stray bits of the embossing powder, you can just brush them off like that. And then I'm going to hold this with my crafting tweezers. I'm going to move all of this embossing powder out of the way. And now I'm ready to apply heat to melt all this embossing powder. Another great perk about having the glass mat is I don't have to worry about, say, my piercing mat kind of melting or just, or what else would we use? Some people do it on their work surface. I don't want to damage my craft surface, so with the glass mat, I don't have to worry about that at all. I like the tweezers in this heat embossing toolkit because you never have to worry about getting your fingers too hot as you're holding your cardstock or paper that you're embossing, especially when you're embossing small pieces. And I just keep moving that heat tool around. There are 2 settings on our heat tool. I always turn it up to the second heat, to the highest heat. I don't know why, but it's always worked well, so I have no reason not to. And I'm just going to go over that one more time, making sure I got all, whoops, I missed a little right here. Do you see that? I love the magic of heat embossing. The first time I ever saw heat embossing, I was like, wow, it's magic. And you know what? It still excites me to this day. I know, seems kind of silly, but it's true. Okay, so now I'm going to just stick this back down on my work surface. I think I've still got a little bit of adhesive there. And now I'm going to do some coloring. Now, usually when we color, we are coloring on a light color cardstock, white, vanilla, maybe even crumb cake, something neutral, right? But today I'm coloring on this Blackberry Bliss cardstock. I'm using some of my watercolor pencils. And you don't even need any water for this technique. Wait till you see it. So you don't have to be real precise coloring in these flowers and leaves. I'm just going to go over the flowers first with white. Filling in all the petals, just gentle coloring. I'm going to turn it around so I can see the flowers a bit better to see, helps me distinguish which are flower petals and which are leaves in this arrangement. So that's why I turned it, just to get a better look. With this stamp, there really is no right or wrong direction, which I love, because then I can use this, could be either end, could be top or bottom. I can use it in a vertical position, and I can easily use it in the horizontal position. I think I missed a petal right there. Take a quick look before I move on. So the next thing I'm going to do is use Melon Mambo watercolor pencil. And what I'm doing is adding some color over the detailed marks of the flower petals. Okay. And you can put as much or as little as you want. You don't have to be terribly precise. You just need to have the color in that area of the details. You can even add a little more if you like. Depending on the, and this technique tends to work better with the dark cardstock colors, but my suggestion to you is before you do any of the stamping or embossing, that you just try out some of the different color watercolor pencils with different colors of cardstock. I've also done this technique on black cardstock with fall leaves, and it is gorgeous, gorgeous. And the colors will show up differently. Obviously, you can see here it looks a little more red. This Melon Mambo looks a little more red against the Blackberry Bliss. It's not quite as bright pink as we're used to. Okay, I'd say that looks pretty good. So the next thing I'm going to do, I finished coloring the flowers. So now I'm going to use one of my Stampin' Up! Blender pens. And this is already pre-moistened. You don't need any water, any solution, anything like that. And just very lightly, very gently, you do not want to press hard, and you don't want to go over the spaces a whole lot because your paper will end up pilling. But now I'm just going to blend the color in all those flower petals. Just real quickly, real light touch. And this will blend all those strokes so I don't see the pencil lines so much. Plus it'll blend the colors of the white and the Melon Mambo plus the Blackberry Bliss cardstock together. It dries in just seconds. And I'd say that looks pretty good. If you missed any areas, it's easy to go back. If you want to blend the colors a little bit more, you can. So while those flowers are drying, I'm now going to color the leaves. And again, I'm just quickly coloring with my Old Olive watercolor pencil. Again, the colors of that we're used to seeing with the Old Olive is going to appear darker against my Blackberry Bliss cardstock. And it might even look different if I put it on a different color cardstock. So that's why I suggest when you do this technique, which is so easy, everybody can do it, right? But when you do this technique, try out your different colors of watercolor pencils on different colors of cardstock and see what appeals to you. You can go in and around the embossed areas if you like on the leaves. I just went over them, and that's okay. You still get some of the shine through, although it does dull some of those embossed areas. And typically when I do this technique, I am heat embossing a stamp first. Okay. Now I have Granny Apple Green, and I'm just going to add this lighter shade to the center of these leaves. Because as you know, adding different tones of the same color adds some dimension and makes things look a little more real as well. And then I'm also going to take that blender pen and blend in the colors I colored onto the leaves. The blender pen has two ends. That's simply so that you can do more than one color with your blending pen for your projects without having to switch. And I will show you how to clean your blending pen, your blender pen, so that you can use it with other colors. You do not need to have one for each color or every 2 colors. You can clean the blender pens and reuse them with any color. Make sure I got all those little stems in there, and that looks good to me. Let me quickly just show you. Let me grab a piece of scrap paper. And when you want to clean your blender pens, you just keep going back and forth very lightly until you're coloring and it comes clear. All right. Then it's ready to go for the next whatever color, whatever project you do next. So I can do the same thing here. I also see that the blender pen picked up some of the fibers from the colored cardstock. So you also want to make sure that that's another reason why you want to clean. And I always try to clean my blender pens like this before I put them away. And then when I get them out to start a new project, I do color on white or vanilla just to double check that I did clean them when I used them the last time. So now you can see how these different shades have blended. Do you see that? So now I don't have just Blackberry Bliss. I have shades of purple and reds and pinks in those flowers and various shades of green in the leaves. So let's use this to make a card. I've got a Blackberry Bliss card base. So I want to go over that score line with my bone folder. Then I have a piece of standard vellum, basic vellum, and this measures 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And I'm going to adhere that to the front of my card base. Then I'm going to add this. Now, remember when I said you can make your card in any direction? Okay. See that? I'm going to make this card in the vertical or landscape position. And because I heat embossed this cardstock, it is curving a little bit. So I'm just going to add some extra dimensionals, a few more than I typically do for this size piece of cardstock, because I want it to be to lay flat. So it'll be lifted off the card base, but it will appear to be flat and even. Come on. Okay, well, I've got one being stubborn here. There we go. Center that, put that right in the center of my card. I'm going to wipe this off because it's a little sticky and tacky. Look at how easily the adhesive cleans up. All this is water on my chamois, and it cleaned that adhesive right off. I didn't even have to scrub hard. I didn't have to press hard. And then I just quickly go over it with a paper towel so I don't have to wait for that to dry. Now I'm going to add a sentiment. I'm using the Holding You Close in My Heart sentiment from the Enduring Beauty stamp set. And I want to stamp this just right in the center of this piece of basic white. This measures 5 1/4 by 4 inches for the inside of the card. And I'm stamping with Blackberry Bliss. Isn't it neat how that little bit of vellum, and I only like to put adhesive in the center of my vellum because I like it to lift off the card front a little bit. I like it to lift off the page. Okay, so there's the inside of my card. Isn't that beautiful? But I think it needs a little bit of embellishing to finish it off. So I have the festive pearls, and I'm using these come in 4 colors, one of which is silver, and that's what I'm going to use to embellish this card front. Put 2 here. I'm not adding, I'm keeping the front kind of simple, not adding a sentiment to the front, not adding a fancy bow. I just want to keep it rather simple so that even my embellishments are simple. And I'm doing that purposely because I want the focal point to be the embossed and colored flowers. Now here's one I did in the vertical position. Very same technique. Everything's the same sentiment, same supplies, just one is in the vertical position or portrait position, the other horizontal or landscape position. I hope you've enjoyed today's demonstration with the Enduring Beauty stamp set, watercolor pencils, and blender pen for this day 7 of my 14 days of love. We are halfway through the series. It's been so much fun, and I can't wait to share the rest of my projects with you. One thing I want to mention too, 14 Days of Love is not just about Valentine's Day. We need to share love, express love, be loving to one another throughout the year. And I love this stamp set for its sentiments. Okay, it shares sentiments for romantic love, for family love, friendship, caring. Look at this, you mean so much to me. What a great thing, sentiment for me to use for friends, with my adult children. How about this, holding you close in my heart, for somebody that's going through a difficult time, loss of job, divorce, illness, could be a death, and use this rather than say with sympathy. So I love it. Love endures all things. Great for weddings, great for weddings. Okay, so keep that in mind when you are considering the Enduring Beauty bundle. I love it. It includes the stamp set, the coordinating dies, and that set of decorative masks that I used in day 6 of this series. All right, I look forward to sharing with you more, and I hope you'll return to stampinpiece.com, my website and blog, or visit my YouTube channel, Stampin' Piece with Mary Knabe.